Okay, welcome everybody. Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, the Abridged Code of Jewish Law, chapter 23, and we're up to number 4. In chapter 23, Sif Daled, number 4. So we've been speaking about reading the Torah. So we take the Torah out on Mondays and Thursdays in the morning, fast days, festivals, Shabbos morning and afternoon. And so those who just joined us, Siman Chof Gimel, chapter 23, Sif Daled, number 4. And welcome, those who just joined us.
Yeah,
So,
I'm in
also,
Las Vegas.
Yeah, oh, you're in Vegas.
Right.
Well, in that case, the number's 4, 21, 83. No. Okay. Also, the Echais, a Sefer Torah ba'atzma orim. We don't hold a Sefer Torah directly. And by that, we mean not the parchment with the writing directly, uncovered. The Chazai alidei talis, alidei b'mudav. So either we hold it, if we have to hold the scroll part of it, we use a talus or something, or you hold it by its, I'm going to say legs, for the mood of maybe poles, I don't like to say Ashkenazi Torah and Sephardi Torah because there's only one Torah, right? It's all exactly the same, right? But the difference is the casing. So in the so-called Sephardi Torah, it's the same Torah, that's why I say so-called. The scroll is permanently inside a hard casing. I mean, you can take it out, but you don't take off the cover to read it. You read it while it's in the cover. So you never really have to even think about holding it because you carry it by the case the whole time. And when you turn it, there's a piece to turn the pages. So in the casings that they used to use in other parts of the world, again, it's the same Torah. I don't like to say Ashkenazi and Sephardi Torah. Same. There's only one Torah. There's one Hashem, and Hashem gave us one Torah, right? And but the covering that comes off, and it comes out of the covering, totally. So you have to be careful not to hold it touch it directly. So you hold it by the handles, maybe we'll call it. Probably a better word. Either the handles, or if you have to touch the scroll itself, use a talus or something out of respect. There are those who are strict, and when they get called up for something, and they even only hold the handles through a talus as well. So it's not a bad thing to do. Okay. When you fix tires up a little bit, you get a little bit slack with this because you're used to handling the pieces. It's once had a Sefer Torah. They were I was a rabbi in a summer camp many years ago, and they were reading the Torah Shabbos, and there was wax on one of the letters. It blocked it. It broke the letter into parts, covered the whole section of a letter. Now, if it wasn't Shabbos, you just brush it off. It's not a problem. The problem is you didn't know how much it was connected, so you could pull up part of the letter, which could be problematic on Shabbos. And it looked like it was really stuck. I thought we're going to have to razor blade it off. So we had to put it away and take out another Sefer Torah. We didn't even know if there was underneath it what it was meant to be. And after Shabbos went to fix it, just gave a little brush with the finger and it came flying. And, that was it, the wax. Would have known was that loosely connected. We could have done that on Shabbos also. But you don't know till you do it. So that was, so you get used to when you fix, you're used to touching, but it's a bad habit. Try not to. Hey, number 5. The one being called up to the Torah and the one reading the Torah should stand. Now, having said that, I've seen people called to the Torah who are in wheelchairs and different things, and obviously they don't have to stand. Right? They're allowed to stay in their chair. But when people are able to, one should stand, both the one being called up and the one reading, to show the respect. But even just to lean on something. And again, this is presuming that you can. Those it's as we get older, sometimes we need a walker or different things. My mother, Allah Shalom, used to always say, she had a walker and different things, and she used to say that as sometimes frustrating getting older is, it beats the alternative. Right? That was her motto. They I don't know if they have it here, but on the Veterans Memorial Day in Australia, you always just say the ode to those who never grow old. I say, well, that's nice, but I'd rather grow old. That was so if we need to lean, we lean, but if we don't need to, then we really shouldn't. We shouldn't. We should be standing up out of respect. Because we should be standing with a certain awe. Just as when the Torah was given, we stood at Mount Sinai with a certain awe and respect. So too, that's how we should treat the Torah, with the awe and respect. But if someone's a weaker person, he can lean on whatever he needs to for a little bit of support. Okay, welcome those who just joined us. Chapter 23, number 6. And at the time where the person being called up says Baruch Hu, and the congregation answer Baruch Hashem Baruch Void, the whole congregation should stand. Now, I'm sure most people have never been. There are certain congregations that do stand through the whole Torah reading, but overall majority do not. So what's going on? So what happens is that normally people just get up and drop in their seat. They just lift themselves up and drop in their seat. But at the time he says the regular bracha, the continuation of the blessing, likewise during the reading itself and the blessing after the reading, there's no obligation for the congregation to stand. However, those who want to be very stringent, have extra, they should stand. It's a good thing to do. But between people, right, the gap between people are called out. For example, many shuls, maybe different blessings or whatever they're doing, then there's no obligation even to be strict. But again, it's sometimes davening can be a long davening. If you can be standing for large parts, it's not so practical. But those who would like to do, it's not a bad thing. Zion, number 7. So, let's say the reader himself gets called up. Person reading the Torah gets called up. You should still have someone stand next to him. Because just as the Torah was given through a, I don't want to say intermediary, because we heard part of the Torah, but it was given through a Sarsa is more like a we'll say intermediary for lack of a better word, but and look, there's someone else there. So Moshe ben Hashem said the Torah to Moshe, Moshe told to us. Therefore, when we have the Torah, when we're reading it, we should conduct ourselves. We should always have this extra person. Ches, number 8. Once the reader starts to read the Torah, no one should speak, even to say words of Torah. And ideally not even between call-ups. And you shouldn't walk out when the Torah is being read. But between call-ups and the Sefer Torah is closed, you can leave if great need. So someone needs to go to the bathroom or something, other great needs, they should try and only go out between the people being called up. Otherwise, it's not respectful. It looks like you're walking out, on the Torah. Test number 9. Now, if you have a kohen in the shul, he should get the first call up. Even if he is totally uneducated, in other words, got nothing to do with any status he may have, as long as he's a kosher person. So in other words, not if he's a crook or something, but if he's just a regular, decent person, the fact he's a kohen, he goes first. He takes priority, even if you have a great Torah sage there. Who's not a kohen. Even if the kohen wants to, now he says, I'll forgo my right. Let this Torah sage or someone be called up first. Mahani doesn't help. Vacha kohen kohen Levi. And after we call up a kohen, we call up a Levi. Be'im ein sham Levi. And if there's no Levi there, kohen is a kohen Allah bim koimoi. So that same kohen gets a second call up. And we say we bim koim Levi in place of Levi. All right. The im ain koin base knesses. If there's no koin in the shul, koin bim koin Levi or Yisrael. You can call either a Levi or Yisrael. Doesn't matter. There's no obligation to call Levi. The only thing is, if you're gonna call a Levi, has to be the first one. If you don't call Levi for the first one, then it becomes problematic. Well, then you can't call. But Yesh Likrai says Yesh the God of Batoyishlim Sasham, and there if there's no call someone who's the great in the Torah there, im ein kan koin, and if you say either if there's no coin, Levi bimkom coin, you say that we're calling a Levi in place of a coin, or Yisrael bimkom coin. Kari Yisrael bimkom coin, and if a Yisrael, regular Jew, not a coin or a Levi, he got called up, and Krim Achrav Levi, we can't call a Levi up after him. So Yishuv the Kulam Kahanim or Levim, if you have a community that's all Kahanim or all Levim, so you have to ask a Rav what you're going to do. There's different depends if there's like one person who's not, or if they're part Kahanim, part Levim. So anyway, there's different things, different possibilities. So ideally the coin, then a Levi, then we start. Now the reason we only call one coin or one Levi, not Kahanim after each other or Levim after each other, is because if we call the second coin after the first one, it may give the appearance that there was something wrong with the first coin's lineage, that there's a problem, he's not really a coin, and that's why we call the replacement. And the same for the Levi. So we're very particular not to call two Kahanim after each other, two Levim after each other. Simchas Torah, of course, is the exception, because everyone understands it's got nothing to do with lineage. It's Simchas Torah. The entire congregation gets a call up at Simchas Torah, and therefore we just call people in all different kinds of order. But So that's why we do it. We only call one coin, then one Levi, and if there's not a Levi, it's the same coin. We get the call up, not a second one, because we don't want to give any appearance that we're casting dispersions on his lineage. I'll give a few things like that. This one, for an example, a few weeks ago, in Pashas Kisisa, and you may notice that the first two call-ups were extremely long, and the rest were short. Or one was average, but the rest were short. So why? Because we know it was only the tribe of Levi who didn't even have one representative with the golden calf. And there weren't that many people, as we discussed before. Out of 3 million Jews, only 3,000, approximately 3,000, worshiped the golden calf. But all the tribes had at least one or several members of their tribe who were involved in the golden calf, except for the tribe of Levi. So we have a very long call for Cohen, then we have quite a long call for Levi. So we finish the whole story before we call up any non-Cohen or Levi. Cohen also from the tribe of Levi. Because we don't want to make it look like we're casting dispersions. We're calling someone up. We don't want to make it look like, yeah, we're calling you. You know why? Because your great-grandfather was one of those golden calfniks, so to avoid any appearance of that, that's why we have always a Levi. So we have the curses. We have two sets of the curses, a shorter set, which is talks about the consequences of, God forbid, well, not good, we had it, the first exile, and then towards the end of the Torah we have a second set, a longer set. The truth is, the curse is not really the right word. It's a rebuke. And that's talking about the second, our current exile of the structure, second base Mikdash. It's a longer exile, therefore a set of rebuke. So we normally call up the Torah reader. The one who's reading the Torah knows you don't call anyone up. Just the person who's reading says the blessings. That's custom, because if we call someone up, it may look like we want you to get all those curses, all those rebuke, all those things sharpen, or if the person is just reading, doesn't. There's some that, so the overall majority custom of the Jewish people is whoever's reading takes that call up. Excuse me. There are some communities that call up the rabbi officially, because the rabbi is beyond reproach, so no one's going to be saying, you're going to get those curses. People joke, though, it's the shul board are really just trying to curse out the rabbi. That's they give it to him. So we're careful. Quite a few things we see around the Torah reading. We're careful not to cast dispersions on people or their lineage or anything like that. Okay. Number 10. So we're going to have an interesting situation. So we've got one coin in the shul, let's say. Ima coin oimed b'krishma or b'birchas krishma. The coin, he came a little bit late to shul, or he davens a bit slower. Excuse me, and he's in the middle of saying the Shema, or the blessings of the Shema. And I'm sure you'll recall that we learned earlier that we can't make an interruption between the Shema. So you've only got one coin. You probably need to call him, but he's in the middle. Mikal Shekain in Omed B'Tfilah Shemona Esra. How much more so if he's in the Shemona Esra, in the Amidah? Afilo Ein Shem Coin Acha, even if there's no other coin, Ein Korim Oisa. We don't call him out. And we don't need to wait for him. Right? You might think, yeah, problems. Take care. Everything goes smoothly. We don't need to wait for him. You might have thought you should wait for him because we don't want to cast dispersions. We don't call him up, but we don't need to wait for him. Because of making an imposition a hassle for the congregation. So we see, this is another idea that we have, is tircha de sibura. We don't want to bother the congregation. We have this for lots of little things that we'll come across. So what do? We call a Levi or Yisrael. Now you don't say there's no coin, because there is a coin. Rather, we say that we're calling up this Levi or this Yisrael in the position instead of the coin. So we shouldn't call him up. We don't make everyone wait. We move ahead. Now, what if he did call him up? You didn't notice he was in the Shema. The person, he just, he knows everyone's names, and he just calls him up. So what happens now? Biddi Eved im Karohu. If he did call him up, so im oimed v'krish Shema b'chasecha, if he's in the Shema, this coin, or in its blessings, he can go up and he can say the blessings. It's kaira, but he doesn't read along with the reader as you normally do. Rather, he just listens. Nevertheless, if it's possible, if he can, he should at least finish the topic he's doing. So, for example, if he's in the middle of one blessing, he should at least finish that blessing and come up between the blessings or between the paragraphs of the Shema. So that's if he's in the Shema or its blessings. Then even if he's in the middle of Shema Esrei, in the middle, where you're standing with your feet together, and it's the pinnacle, the primary part of the whole davening, even if he gets called up, he shouldn't go. Likewise, if he already said Ga'al Yisrael, the last blessing before the Shema Esrei, he shouldn't go up. But if he's in that little paragraph that we say at the end of the midah, the kind of sir, and he gets called up, then he should go up. Okay, so that's those situations. If he's in the verses of praise, which also we don't make an interruption, but it's much more lenient for these kinds of things, because as it's verses of praise, we could interrupt for other things that are praises to Hashem. So till now, we said you shouldn't call him up if he's in Shema. If you did, he goes. Here's going to be slightly different. Im ein sham coin acher, if there's no other coin. So if there's another coin, you call another coin. But if there's no other coin, we can even in the first instance call him up, even though he's in the middle of Pesukei de Zimra. Because, as we said, Pesukei de Zimra verses of praise, and we call to the Torah, he's going to say a blessing of praise to Hashem. So it's not a full-powered interruption. But likewise, just like the person getting called up in the Shema, he doesn't read along with the reader. But if there is another coin, there's another coin around. We shouldn't call up the one in the middle, Pesukei de Zimra, and the verse of praise in the first instance. And the same thing applies. All these laws we just said also applies to a Levi. Okay. So, just to summarize that, if the Kohen or Levi is in a place where they can't interrupt, ideally we should call someone else. If there's no other, so in Pesukei de Zimra, the verses of praise, we can call them up. In Shema and its blessings, we shouldn't call them up, but if we did, they can go and make the blessings. And during the Amidah, excuse me, even if they are called up, they shouldn't go. So, number 11, slightly different case, another little twist. Im kara Kohen or Levi vein Hashem. You call up a Kohen or Levi, and they're not there. They were there just a minute ago, and you called them up, went to the bathroom, whatever it is. He's gone. So now what do? So lo yikra l'achar b'shmo. You shouldn't call up a second person by name. Shalom yimra l'rishon shupogum, because we're worried that people will say there was something wrong with the lineage of the first one, and that's why we're replacing him. So what do? You just say to another person quietly, come, you come and take the call up. So if we called the Kohen or Levi by name, and for whatever reason he can't come, he's not there, he slipped out and we didn't notice, we just get another person quietly to come take the call up. We don't make an official call up by name because we don't want to cast aspersions on him. The exception is if we call his son instead, presuming his son is bar mitzvah. If we call his son in his place, then we can call him by name because no problem. That's not going to cast aspersions of the father's lineage. Why? Because if there's a problem with the father's lineage of a Kohen or a Levi, then the same problem is going to be by the son's lineage, because the Kohen or Levi goes via the father. So if we call the son by name, it's not ever going to cast a dispersion on the father, because he has the same lineage as the father. His lineage is via the father. Likewise, let's say for whatever reason the Kohen or the Levi can't come up. So, for example, then in the middle of Shemona Esrei, in the Amidah, you can call another person by name, even not the son. And it's not going to cast dispersions. Why? Because everyone sees that he can't go up in the Shein Rosh because he's not able to. Right, he's the middle of Shemona Esrei, the Amidah, you stand with your feet together. You're standing, feet together, saying it. So the person gets called up. He doesn't go. They call someone up, and people look around and they say, "Oh, that guy's davening. That's why he couldn't go." So it's not ever going to cause cast any dispersions on his lineage. So that's a Kohen or Levi. Let's say you call Yisrael, a regular Jew, and he's not there. Now you can call another person by name. Because by a regular Yisrael, there's not this issue of lineage, right? We don't even if a person has damaged lineage, it doesn't affect the person being a Jew, and they can still a regular Jew. It's no problem. Okay, the Kohen or Levi likewise, if you called a Kohen or Levi for Achron, if you made an extra aliyah at the end, extra call up at the end, or for the maftir, which is already an extra, we're also not worried, because for that, you could have called anyone, a Yisrael, a Kohen, or Levi. There's no lineage issues. So if you called him up and you realize he's not there, there's no problem. All right. Number 12, we're going to get to a little bit of an interesting case. We thought there was no Kohen in the shul. We call up a Yisrael. And all this, we call up Yankel, Ben, the son of Shmerel, Yisrael bimkom Kohen, a Yisrael in place of a Kohen, because there's no Kohen. And all of a sudden someone says, "Hey, I'm a Kohen." So what do? We've already called someone up. But on the one hand, we already called someone up. You're not meant to replace him. On the other hand, we have a Kohen. A Kohen's meant to go first. So we're in a bit of a sticky situation. Let's see what we do. Im lo haya Kohen Beis Knesses Shaya Ella Shli Yudal Memenu. There was no coin in the shul at the time of calling him up, or there was, he didn't know it was a coin. The Kara Yisrael Mim Koim of Allah, and you call up a Yisrael in place of the coin, and the coin goes up on the bima ready for the call up. Even if he already said the opening words, the introductory words of Baruch Hu Es Hashem Baruch, but as long as he hasn't started the actual blessing on the Torah reading, of our coin, and the coin comes in, or he lets you know, he says, "Hey, I'm the coin." Now what do? So coin is a coin of oiler. The coin comes up and takes the call up. And he also says the Baruch. Now, what about the Yisrael who we just called up? The coin takes over. This guy, we just called him up. What do we do with him? Yisrael Kadeshali is Maish. Now, this Yisrael, in order that we shouldn't humiliate him by saying, haha, we were just kidding when we called you up. We don't want to do that to someone. So what do? Yamid Sham Ad Ach Shikar Kohen Levi. He just stands on the side until after a Kohen and a Levi are called up. And then he comes and he says the blessings. So we just put him on pause. We don't replace him. We just put him on pause. I will inkavam a Yisrael as a shame in a bracha. But if the Kohen, the Yisrael who got called up in place of a Kohen, has already said the blessing. He said Baruch Atah Hashem. He said God's name. Then so if he's already said God's name, Shama Baruch Atah Hashem Shuv Ein Other Kohen, then it's too late. The Kohen's missed out, and we can't stop a blessing in the middle once he said Hashem's name. Yeah, David.
How come he doesn't say the pasuk that Lamdini Chukacha?
Okay, that's an excellent question. So let's give a bit of background to the question. So normally, let's say a person says Hashem's name by mistake. I said a blessing by mistake. Let's give an example. He made a blessing on a drink, and he forgot he made the blessing on the drink. And he starts to make another blessing on the drink. He says Baruch Atah, he even says Hashem's name, and then remembers, I said a blessing already. And we don't want to say Hashem's name for nothing. So he can add the words Lamdeni Chokecho, because that's a verse. It's a verse in Tehillim and Psalms, Baruch Atah, Lamdeni Chokecho. And so he says the verse. So Dov was asking, maybe, how come this person, if he just says Baruch Atah Hashem, he should just say Lamdeni Chokecho? So the difference here is, he's actually started making the blessing on the Torah that's needed. So it's not like someone said Hashem's name by mistake, and then at least, we do something to get out of it. He's actually saying the actual blessing. So once he's actually saying the actual blessing and he said Hashem's name, we can't stop that blessing. Because Hashem's name is the main part of the blessing. And so once he started it, he said the major part, we have to keep going. Now, this that we said was about a coin. The same thing would be if it was a Levi in the place of a coin, not just a Yisrael. And the coin either came in or he made himself known before the Levi says Hashem's name. Then the coin takes the call up. The Levi mamtim koim oisa achrov, and the Levi waits to the side, and then he gets the next call up. Adim im lo haya Levi. Same thing if there wasn't a Levi. So yadam imenu, you didn't know he was a Levi because the coin gam come Levi, and you were going to give this coin a second call up, as we do if there's no Levi. Levi koidem shama hakoin baruch ato Hashem, and the Levi comes in before this coin says Hashem's name and the blessing. Koidem is the Levi v'oila. So then we call up the Levi, and he gets the call up. So the idea is that we should have Levi and a Yisrael. That's the plan. Number 13. So ein korim shnei achim zeh. We don't call up two brothers one after the other. We can if we have someone else in between, but not two in a row. Bein shem mina av, bein mina aim, if they're only half brothers from the father or the mother still. The pain likewise avim benoi or ben benoi. We don't call up someone and then his son, or someone and then his grandson. Ein korim zeh achazeh. They don't do one after the other. Why? Hashem ein a bisha. Right? Ein hora. Ein a bisha is Aramaic for the Hebrew ein hora. We don't want, people will get jealous of this family. Even if people say they don't mind. Even if one of them is achron and one is maftir. These two extra ones that we do or can do. Now, so when we have a family simcha and we want to call up people, we need to plan it. You need to get the people in between. So when do we do this? When do we say that maftir is an issue? Dafka b'shav she'em matzim sefer Torah achla maftir. Al-mashim sefer Torah achla maftir muta. So this is the problem: is if when you have one sefer Torah, and the maftir is also from the same sefer Torah, but if it's one of the weeks where we take out two sefer Torah or more, like this past Shabbos, then we can call up because the fact it's from a different Torah makes a separation. Likewise, if the person we call for maftir is not per mitzvah, mutter is also allowed if his father or brother had the previous one. But all of these cases, if you did call, so by mistake, you call up two brothers, right? There was these two visitors in shul, and didn't realize they were brothers, or father and son. You called up one after the other. Once it goes up, it doesn't go down. And two brothers from a mother, so you're going to call them up, Ben, the son of, with a different name, or a father and a grandson. If you call them up, even if they didn't go up yet, they go up. So not only like the other ones, once they went up already to the bimah, we don't send them down. These ones, since they're going to be called the son of, it's going to be a different name, we can call them up. And if there's a time of great need, then you can even call these people, meaning the brothers of the same mother or a father and a grandson. So what you'll see is when there's a, say, a bar mitzvah or a offer for a wedding, and you're trying to squeeze in all the aliyahs, they often do grandson and son because time of need, considered time of need, and we can squeeze everyone in. Okay, not many questions today. Okay. Everyone's hungover from Purim. No. All right. Yudalad 14. Misha Allah Echad. Someone got called up in one shul. Afterwards, he got called up in another shul. He went to visit another shul, and they called him up. Now, even not only he gets called up again on the same Shabbos, but even he gets called up for the exact same call up you can still make the blessings again. It's no problem. So if you want to go shul hopping and get lots of call-ups, that's fine. There was a fellow in Sydney 30 years ago. For a brief period, he was extremely wealthy. And he 10% what came, not just profits, just 10% whatever came into his business just went straight to stocker. Well, might have been more than that. And he gave a lot. So what used to happen is in his shul, he would have a few l'chaims of the kiddush, maybe a few more than a few. And when he'd be walking home, he'd go past about 3 other shuls, and they'd be waiting at the front, and they'd call him in, because when he got a call up, and they made a mishaberach blessing for him, he'd give 5,000, 10,000, you know. So he used to get like call-ups in 3 or 4 different shuls on every Shabbos. That was his. That's what happened. All right. So till now, we've been speaking about Shabbos, Yom Tov, Monday and Thursday, a time where the Torah reading is applicable to everyone. Now we're going to speak about a fast day. Now, fast day, some people can't fast. They have medical issues, or if it's not ongoing medical issues, today they're not feeling well, whatever happens to be. So they're not really part that this Torah reading is only for the fast day, and not really part of the fast. So what happens? Test Vav, number 15. The Tainus Sibur Shekoyim Vayechal, on a fast day, communal fast day, when we're reading the Vayechal, the special Torah reading of, especially for the fast, Ein Koyim Lalas Torah Elamish Misana. We should only call up someone who's fasting. Only someone who's participating in the fast should have a call up to the Torah. Vim Ein Koyim Kan Koyim Acha Elazu She'en Misana. Let's say there's only one coin, and he can't fast. Let's say he's diabetic or something else. He can't fast. No, he's not allowed to fast. Or he's not intending to finish the fast, because, you know, maybe with his health condition he can fast a few hours, but he can't fast the whole day. So what do? Kodem Yisrael Levim Komer. We call up a Levi or a Yisrael instead. Now we don't want to embarrass this coin, so what do?
Excuse me for 1 second, Rabbi.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Question that I have has to do with this. My rabbi asked me yesterday if I had fasted because of Purim, and I couldn't.
Fast the best.
And I told him the truth. I did not fast because I am diabetic.
Yeah,
and
not allowed to.
Actually, what he did is he asked me to wait outside, and he called up a Levi.
That's exactly what we're going to say, because we don't want to embarrass the coin. So Tov Shiatze coin basically it's best that he just slips out, and then we call up a Levi or whoever in his place, and after the blessing he comes into the Torah reading, and that way he came in afterwards. You know, missed out. And if there's more than one coin and the other coin is fasting, so then the guy who's not fasting doesn't need to leave, because he should just let the person know not to call him up because he can't fast. And if they do call him, best he doesn't go. Now that's if the fast day they're not going to read the Torah. It's Torah readings only because of the fast day. But if it is Monday or Thursday, so we're not talking about here, this year was Thursday, but Mincha, in the afternoon, we only read the Torah because of the fast. In the morning, even if it wasn't the fast, we would have read the Torah, because it's a Thursday anyway. So if it's a Monday or Thursday. Morning.
This was yesterday. Today is Monday. Saturday. I'm sorry. It was Saturday. No, well, for me it was Saturday. I don't know why, but he told me I had to walk outside for a few minutes, which is fine. I had no problem with that.
Okay. All right. So if a
So
fast day is a Monday or Thursday, and you would have read the Torah anyway, after
sure,
yeah.
okay.
Even
Well,
though you're reading Vayechal instead of what you would have normally read on the Thursday, nevertheless, since now is a time for the Torah reading, an all-inclusive Torah reading, therefore, if he didn't go out of the shul, you can call him up and he can get the call up. Okay. Now,
what for you is
now we're going to have
you
another interesting situation.
remember. I don't remember
So,
the
as we know,
it was a yellow.
in Israel, there's 1 day Yontif for many of the Yontifs, while in outside of Israel, there's 2 days. And if someone is visiting one place or the other, unless he's moved permanently, there's different opinions what you do, but majority opinion is the person keeps doing from the place he lives. So if some place observes 1 day, he only observes 1 day. It's a place that observes 2 days, then he observes 2 days, even though here there's only 1 day. So he could be a person from Israel, and there's only 1 day Yontif. And let's say Shavuos, 1 day Shavuos, and he's in America. Second day Shavuos and having a Torah reading. So he's not really obligated in his Torah reading because he's from Israel. So what happens? So test sign number 16. Likewise, someone who resides, he lives in Israel. There they only make 1 day Yontiv, milvad Rosh Hashanah, except for Rosh Hashanah. Everyone has 2 days Rosh Hashanah. And he goes to outside of Israel. He's in Florida. And he's in the shul on the 2nd day of Yontiv. We shouldn't call this person to the Torah. The din and the din is exactly like the previous chapter, the previous paragraph. So in other words, his situation is exactly like someone on a fast day who's not fasting. So if it's a Kohen or a Levi, but it should go out. If it's a Monday or Thursday, the reading anyway is not a problem. So the same rules. And it doesn't really work the other way because if you go to Israel, they're not reading the Torah on that day. Unless you go to a special minyan. Sometimes they make minyanim for the people who keep 2nd day Yom Tov. Yud Zayin. Number 17. A blind person, we have a custom to call them up. Now, seemingly, that would be problematic because we're calling someone up to the reading of the Torah. So even though there's a reader to read on their behalf, but you would think you would need someone who can read. And someone who's blind can't read. But we're going to explain why we can. Even though things that are meant to be written and you need to read, you're not meant to say off by heart. Nevertheless, since it's already become the established practice that there's a reader, people who get called up don't read the call-ups themselves. Someone else reads on their behalf and they just say the blessings. Since this has become the established norm, then there's no problem for the blind person to make those blessings. Even though he can't read himself, he's making the blessings for the person who will be reading. And we also we don't investigate people whether they learn it enough to be able to read along with the reader or not. We don't worry about it. If they can, they can. If they can't, they can't. There's no problem because the primary reading has been done by the reader. As long as he can make the blessing, no problem. Okay. Number 18. If the place was shown to the person getting called up, and he said the blessing, because that's normally what you do. You show the place, and you say the blessing. So he says the blessing. Then they realize they showed him the wrong. They showed him the wrong place. They showed him another place that we need to read today. So bein shkabel his chilul ikrois, bein shkedaim lo his chilul. Whether we started reading or we didn't start reading yet, if the place that he needs to read was open, right? So when they opened the Torah, they're showing the place. So let's say when they opened it, there was 2 columns open, and he thought it was the top of the first column, and really what they were meant to read was the middle of the second column. So it was there in front of him. They opened it up in front of him. Then afilahu ba'amid acha was in a different column, acha makim sharaloi, or another place. Ein l'sarach l'varach shenis. You don't need to make a new blessing. First blessing is good. Why? Mishum d'dai tahayel makim shabarach v'al kol mashnigul afonov. His intention was to read on the place that's in front of him, whatever they're reading in front of him. And since it was opened up and it was there in front of him, no problem. So that's if when I opened it up to show him the place they needed to read was there. But if it wasn't, yet it was 2-3 columns away, and you have to roll a little bit. You have to roll the Torah to get to it. Or it was there, but it was before what they showed him. So he thought he only had intention from the point they showed him onwards. Then you have to make the blessing again. But the Baruch Hu doesn't say a second time. So what does he say? He says, blessed is in Hashem's name of glory for an ever and ever, because since he said a blessing when it wasn't needed, Habracha Rishona on his first blessing, Shabarach Lavatal, that he said for no reason, because it was the wrong place, not his fault. Someone showed him the wrong place. And then he says it. Now, if they realize the wrong place, he just said Baruch Hashem, then as David pointed out before, in this case, you can finish it off that verse. If the place he has to read is just above the place they showed him, but it's close, so what should he do? Let's say what they did is they showed him the call-up beforehand. Sorry, after. They showed him the call-up after. And the call-up he has to do was on the page. So they should do the correct call-up and then just go a few verses extra. And so therefore say what they did show him. Right. Okay. 19. You know, I always get worried. I keep telling you I get worried when there's no questions. You get worried. Okay. 19. Every call up, every time we call someone up, the call up has to be minimum 3 verses. And Monday and Thursdays and Shabbos afternoon, when we only have 3 call ups. So even though each one has to be at least 3, but the 3 together have to be at least 10. Right? Interestingly, the only time that we read less than 10, we only read 9, is Purim. Right? Read on Purim, Torah reading in the morning. So the fourth call up has to be at least 4 verses. The third call up, sorry, so at least 4 verses. However, after the fact, he made a mistake, whatever happened, and each call up was only 3, so you got 9. You filled your obligation. But Purim, and on Purim, when we said we only have 9 verses. Why? So because the next verse is talking about something totally different. That's what happens. Okay. All right. The next one is going to need a bit of an introduction, so we'll probably leave that to next week.
Can I ask a question, please?
Please.
If we have, you just mentioned that brothers should not be called one after another.
Yeah.
Let's imagine that it's twins and they are called for bar mitzvah or
Yeah,
it's
so we'll call someone in
sisters or-
between.
What if it's their
We'll
only
call someone in
two?
between because normally on Shabbos there's 7 call-ups. So we'll call one
okay.
earlier and one later. We'll get someone in between. The same thing,
Okay.
even if they're not twins, you want to call, let's say, his brothers, his other brothers, you want to honor them, his father, his grandfather. So we just try and organize it that we don't have,
Okay.
so
Is it's just
requires
because
planning.
of the it's because
Well,
of the competition, not to create
yeah, we don't want
competition?
people to have jealousy. You can imagine you call a father and a son or 2 brothers, and people start mumbling. It's
Embarrassing. Mhm. Okay.
yeah. Well, it's
Okay.
it's an embarrassment. We don't want people to get jealous and start bring negativity. The Ayin Hara. Ayin Hara in general. When we say Ayin Hara, we mean lots of things. Sometimes we just mean basic jealousy, but sometimes we also mean that what happens is that everything we do or say has some type of spiritual effect. And if people mutter negative things, it can also have a spiritual effect. There's the story of Baal Shem Tov in the shul. Someone got angry with someone, and he says, "I'm going to tear you apart like a fish." So the Baal Shem Tov showed his students that on some spiritual level, it happened to him, not physically, but that's also why we have to be very careful what we say. It's another reason we have to be careful what we say. So, but everything has an effect, and not to be superstitious, but Ayin Hara can be a real thing. Sometimes people need a Kabbalist to remove it from them. It's not so common.
Thank you.
It happens once in a while. No problem.
Thank you so much. Thanks for explanation.
Welcome. So I guess we'll finish 30 seconds early today. Let's see other questions. Wish everyone a wonderful week. Everyone needs to recover from Purim. We're all exhausted ourselves.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Very welcome. Enjoy Vegas.
Have a good day, everybody.
Yeah, Chicago.
Take care.
Thank you.